do good girls exist? And the answer is, simply put, yes. But in America, who knows?
For as long as time has existed, there have been certain expectations for how girls, women, and femmes should act. These expectations led to the rise of the good girl and bad girl tropes. We consistently see these images of girls being portrayed and reinforced in media. But what is a good girl? In my experience, a good girl is someone who is innocent but not too innocent, someone that is obedient to the point of almost being subservient, and someone who is conventionally attractive but doesn't appear to be trying too hard.
You're really pretty. Thank you. So you agree? What? You think you're really pretty? Oh, I don't know.
Author Rachel Simmons described what middle and high school aged girls considered qualities of a good girl. The list states these traits: blue eyes, little girl, quiet, perfect, sheltered, good grades, studies, no opinion on things, well-rounded, follower, preppy, has to do everything right, doesn't show skin, high expectations, honorable, tons of friends, polite, enthusiastic, generous, kind, has a boyfriend, intelligent, conservative, popular, wealthy, and a variety of other traits. Rachel Simmons also states, our culture is teaching girls to embrace a version of selfhood that sharply curtails their power and potential. In particular, the pressure to be good, unerringly nice, polite, modest, and selfless diminishes girls' authenticity and personal authority. But now that we've established what a good girl is, let's talk about bad girls. While growing up, I was consistently told not to be a bad girl. I'm not sure that I was ever told what it meant to be a bad girl, but I came to associate bad girls with girls that are outspoken, don't know their place, don't respect authority, and girls that don't adhere to cultural norms. Kay Dacus describes the fact that often being a bad girl stems from being too ambitious. In her article titled Bad Girls from Vixens to Villains, she describes the fact that we tend to see bad girls as more one-sided. For example, the evil stepsisters in Cinderella. Were they really evil, or were they just attempting to meet the expectation that they should marry a prince at any cost? Dacus also discusses the different kind of bad girls. She lists the femme fatale, the crone, or a bitter old woman, the female criminal or black widow, the kingmaker, or the driving force behind a man, the other woman, and the boardroom bitch. While most of these archetypes refer to grown women, we still see how these character types impact girls. Girls see only two choices: be good or become one of these archetypes and be inherently bad. There's really no wiggle room. So now we arrive at our next question, which is, if girls only have two choices, what happens when they deviate from their initial path? It can be really damaging to be labeled as good or bad from a young age. These labels make it increasingly difficult for young girls to grow up without feeling like they have to sacrifice certain aspects of their personalities for the comfort of those around them. It also can be increasingly more jarring when someone deviates from their assigned label. My first example of someone that deviated from their label is Taylor Swift. At the start of her career, Taylor Swift was seen as the perfect girl next door, just playing country music with her guitar. This fit the image that society has of young girls. Young girls are boy crazy and listen to love songs about boys. This is exactly what Taylor was doing, and since it was what was expected of her, no one batted an eye. The issue arose when Taylor began to grow as an artist and as a young adult. Her talking about her love life was no longer cute, and her ambitions as an artist made her come off as manipulative and snake-like. Another artist that quite notably deviated from her assigned label of good girl is Miley Cyrus. Miley was 12 years old when Hannah Montana aired on Disney Channel. She was quite literally growing up on screen alongside her viewers. The thing about Miley, though, is that she was playing a character. Her character was this cute and quirky girl that was deemed a good role model from the start of her show airing, but people seem to forget that she was acting. Miley has even discussed how starring on Hannah Montana caused her a bit of an identity crisis because she did not see as much value in just being herself.
What that felt like, but there was, the way that kids would react at these like Hannah shows versus when I was myself and I would meet fans out. It was different, and so again, on that like kind of psychological level, I guess that's kind of why originally when I first started doing like solo projects as my own identity, I'd almost create kind of alter egos of myself.
Miley received so much backlash when she finally let go of Hannah Montana. I believe part of it is that people perceived Miley as going from one extreme of innocence to another extreme of overtly sexy. I do think that people failed to realize that there was an in-between stage for Miley. Maybe the character Miley Stewart never rebelled as a teenager or explored her identity, but Miley Cyrus did. Miley's evolution into her Wrecking Ball era was only a surprise because people refused to see Miley as an individual. They only saw her as her character. Someone that has yet to make an obvious deviation from her ascribed status of good girl is Charli D'Amelio, TikTok's sweetheart. Charli D'Amelio has yet to really stir any ruckus regarding her status as a good role model. But as her fame continues to grow exponentially, I wonder if she too will one day stray from her path of wanting to be seen as a good girl.
I'm personally ready to stop being a good girl. Because if being good means that I have to measure my lovability by external factors, I'll never feel lovable. If you have to measure your worth based on your imperfect body's perfection, you won't ever feel worthy. And if you're a slave to other people's opinions and moods while setting your own aside, you'll never feel fulfilled.
As YouTuber Anna Akana stated, some of the expectations that come with being a good girl are quite literally impossible to achieve. Girls will never have perfect bodies or be liked by every single person they meet. An article by Armstrong et al. Describes how the girl trope can impact girls as they emerge into womanhood. The article states that women that adhered to the image of being a good girl while growing up are more likely to slut-shame other women and feel less of a sense of personal agency. The impact of unreasonable standards on girls and women is unavoidable. One example of someone that fell victim to unobtainable standards is Jeanette McCurdy. Jeanette has described on various occasions how the pressure to look young led to her developing an eating disorder and mental health issues. Ultimately, Jeanette felt the need to step away from acting and from this goal of being a good girl in order to save herself. We see this same story time and time again with other actors that are impacted by this good girl trope, despite the fact that there are no girls that are inherently good or bad. So, with beauty standards and cultural norms constantly changing, do you all feel that the good girl and bad girl tropes will become less prevalent over time, or is it something that is destined to go on forever?